An AI model that started out making images is now being tested on factory robots. Welcome to the Automated Daily, Hacker News Edition, the podcast created by generative AI. I'm Trent Teller, and today is July 24th, 2026. Coming up, a notable step toward AI that can both generate media and act in the physical world. A timely piece on why concentration feels so fragile. A reminder that text-based online worlds are far from dead. A couple of developer tooling projects worth watching, and a quick look back at the IBM PC moment that changed computing for good. This episode is brought to you by CrispCall. CrispCall provides agentic cloud telephony for modern businesses. Find the link in the episode notes. First up, Multimodal AI is pushing further into robotics. Black Forest Labs says its new FLUX 3 model has expanded beyond image generation into video, audio, and robot auction prediction, and an early version is already being used in robot experiments. The more interesting claim is the underlying idea. If a model learns to predict how the world moves and changes in video, it may also be able to infer the actions needed to operate inside that world. The company says that approach is already being tested in industrial settings tied to automotive production, including parts handling and assembly tasks. Why this matters is simple. The industry is moving toward models that do not just make content, but understand enough about the physical world to help machines do useful work inside it. Next, a theme that hit a nerve on Hacker News. Focus is getting harder. One essay argues that modern digital life is training people away from sustained attention, even when they want to concentrate. The culprit is not just social media. It is the full mix of browser tabs, chat tools, meetings, and now LLM workflows that encourage constant prompting, checking, and waiting. The point is not that these tools are useless. It is that they reward partial attention and make boredom feel intolerable, which is a bad setup for deep thinking. That matters well beyond personal habits, because a lot of valuable work still depends on long stretches of uninterrupted effort, and many workplaces are quietly making that harder rather than easier. On a very different note, there is also a thoughtful case for MUDs, the old text-based multiplayer worlds that predate modern online games. The argument is that they still do something distinctive. They create a strong sense of presence and collaboration without depending on graphics. For some players, especially visually impaired users working with screen readers, that is not nostalgia at all. It is a genuinely accessible form of online world building. The piece also makes a broader point that feels increasingly relevant. Richer technology does not always produce richer experiences. Sometimes a text interface leaves more room for imagination, social play, and flexible world design than a polished visual system can. In developer tooling, one of the more interesting projects was Buzz, an early Zig-based fork of Bun that goes back to the last pre-Rust codebase. The goal is not to compete overnight, but to rebuild around a cleaner structure, faster incremental builds, and less technical debt. That makes it more of a long-term maintainability story than a feature race, which is probably why it resonated with so many developers. Alongside that, another open-source project called TangleFlow is trying to make CI workflows more portable by converting GitHub actions into tangled pipelines and back again. Different projects, same underlying theme. Developers are still looking for simpler internals, better build ergonomics, and less lock-in across the tools they depend on. And finally, a look back at a pivotal moment in computing history, the IBM PC. The story revisits how IBM entered a messy and fragmented microcomputer market in 1981, then helped define the platform model that dominated for decades. What made the machine so influential was not just IBM's brand. It was the relatively open design, the use of third-party components, and the software decision that helped turn MS-DOS into a foundation for Microsoft's rise. That openness created a booming ecosystem, but it also made clones inevitable and eventually weakened IBM's control. It is a useful reminder that platform success often comes from opening the door wide enough for others to build on top of you, even if that later creates your strongest competitors. Thanks to our sponsor, Consensus. Consensus uses AI to help you find and understand research papers, and you can get a free month. Find the link in the episode notes. That's it for today's edition. The common thread was hard to miss. Whether we're talking about AI models learning the physical world, people struggling to protect their attention, or old platforms still shaping modern software, the biggest stories are often about the systems around the technology, not just the technology itself. Thanks for listening, and links to all the stories we covered can be found in the episode notes.